mistakes, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
India that invents. India that innovates. India that excites. India that invites. Land of possibilities. Teeming with opportunities. Watch India Ideas each Thursday, 8 p.m. only on DD India. Hello and welcome to the weekly show, which is all about science and technology, innovation and entrepreneurship, particularly related to India's burgeoning startup ecosystem. I'm Gautam Roy. India's interim budget 2024 was presented on the 1st of February, and the nation's startups were also watching it very keenly to see what Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman would have to offer to the ecosystem before the national elections. There were some substantial announcements, and we're showcasing them all today. Well, the Finance Minister made some big-ticket announcements in her much shorter than usual budget speech, primarily because it was an interim budget. It may have been short, but it did not lack punch. Apart from extending the tax holiday being given to eligible startups from 2017 by another year, Nirmala Sitharaman also announced a corpus of funds worth $120.51 billion to boost private investment as well as R&D in sunrise technologies and startups. It will provide long-term financing or refinancing with long tenures and zero or low interest rates as well. Schemes were also announced for deep tech startups in defense and for bio startups. So there was much to chew upon where the budget and startups are concerned. Let's talk about that today with Anshul Sharma, co-founder Red Wing Designs, which builds and operates autonomous drones logistics networks to enable on-demand deliveries for its customers. We also have Jay Pradeep Vasudevan, or JV. He's Chief Business Officer Rapti, which is an electric motorcycle brand based in Chennai. And we've also got Manoj Kumar Agarwal, co-founder and managing partner, C-Fund, which is a Category 2 SEBI-registered early-stage alternate investment fund with deep tech as one of its underlying themes. Let's start with you, Anshul. We'll be putting out all the key details of what the interim budget had for startups on the screen as well as we speak. But what really stood out for you? Is it the corpus worth a mind-boggling $120.51 billion or 1 lakh crore rupees? Or is it the scheme for deep tech startups or something else?
Sure. No, thank you so much for having us over here, right? And I think it's a combination of all points together, which is really coming from this vision being shown, which is the Viksit Bharat, right? Where the emphasis on sunrise technologies and deep tech is clearly becoming much more larger. So I think first is that there is a special emphasis towards a larger corpus coming into the sunrise technologies, which is really going to help specifically deep tech and sunrise even more, because in deep tech and sunrise, what happens is that it takes some time for entrepreneurs and companies to essentially get their initial revenue base up, right? So a government sort of support essentially in the initial days will really help a couple of other sunrise technologies, which is drones, space techs, and so on and so forth, to really gain momentum in terms of adoption as well.
Certainly. We've seen that happening in the DevTech space, and now I guess the ambit is widened. JV, if I could come to you, the EV ecosystem related to both vehicles and charging figured in the FN speech as well. How do you assess the support given by the government so far to the sector in terms of what it needs?
Yeah, good evening, Gautam, and thanks everyone. So, with respect to the Finance Minister's interim budget on EV support, there are two areas she has spoken about. One is about strengthening the manufacturing for EV, and second is expanding the public charging network. So, as far as these two are concerned, how it translates into consumer benefit, if you look at this, solves basically two primary barriers for the EV adoption. One is range anxiety, and second one is about the initial cost of acquisition. So the EV support for manufacturing is bound to reduce the cost. It is bound to improve the efficiency, and therefore finally it will help in reducing the cost of acquisition for the consumer. And similarly, the expansion of charging network, which is the CCS2 charger or the public charging network, which is already 12,000 in numbers in the country. So as this keeps expanding, you'll reach a stage where every 4-5 kilometers you'll find a charger, EV charger. So that will definitely help in breaking the barrier in terms of the range anxiety. And therefore, these two fundamental support, we look at it as a very, very strong support for a long-term EV adoption for the country.
Wonderful. Now, Manoj, C-Fund has had focus on both deep tech and sustainability-based startups in terms of its funding. Which interim budget proposals do you think will give a leg up to these sectors?
Thank you, Gautam, for having me here on this program. Some of the sectors, some of the initiatives you have covered, but just to enumerate further, this budget, according to me, was very directional in nature. And with a narrowing focus into the future. For example, when we talk about sustainability, the focus on the whole EV charging infrastructure, which will enable further investments in both manufacturing and deployment of EV charging infrastructure across the country, also giving a leg up to manufacturing locally, made in India initiatives. Then the focus on biomanufacturing and biofoundry will also enable investments in new technologies, new alternatives to biodegradable polymers, bioplastics, and pharmaceuticals. Rooftop solar scheme will enable a boost to manufacturing in that technologies around solar. Then on the deep tech side, two major initiatives which will have a long-term impact is certainly the 1 lakh crore corpus to finance long-term research and innovation. This is something which was badly needed. Though we are looking for details as they come in, from a 0.3% investment in R&D of the GDP, we are looking how we can grow this as a country, and this would help in that. Then certainly the initiative on deep technologies for the defense sector, which will again give a big push to all the innovation in that industry. And when investments happen around deep tech in defense, some of these technologies are much wider and they will impact the larger ecosystem. So these, according to me, are the initiatives which will give a big push to both deep tech and sustainability.
Certainly. Now, Anshul, when it comes to drones and logistics based on drones, which is your core business, we've seen the government put out both a drone as well as a logistics policy earlier. How have these measures helped your business so far, and what did you find in the budget which would give your business an added boost apart from what it has already had?
Sure. So first, I think, is the introduction of another top-up in terms of the PLI scheme, which is about 57 CR of top-up for drone and drone components. So that is going to further enhance the supply chain and it becoming more indigenized. Second thing, in terms of the drone policy, which was released, it has really opened up and boosted the sector tremendously. Apart from the government pushing out these programs as a second order effects, what really is happening is that for companies which are really building global products, this is the right time and stage essentially to indigenize as much of the supply chain as you can within India by utilizing most of these PLI schemes and other benefits that the government already is providing, so that you can build cost-effective technologies, specifically in, let's say, drones, and export it outside to other countries as well.
All right. JV, the FM also talked about rooftop solarization and how it will be used for supporting the EV charging infrastructure. Now, to what extent do you feel can this measure help in accelerating EV adoption in the country?
Yeah, so this rooftop solarization, I think it is largely looking at the government's goal of achieving roughly 60% solar power contribution out of the total renewable energy by 2030. So that's a larger goal. Having said that, this specific initiative of rooftop solarization for the households will improve the grid-connected solar power, which will eventually help in the load balancing when it comes to the increasing EV adoption in the time to come, because the EV adoption is going to go up in the years to come, and therefore it is going to put pressure on the grid. This grid-connected solar power will certainly help in balancing that, and it will overall end up resulting in better availability as well as the cost efficiency also.
Okay. Now, Manoj, do you feel that the provisions in the interim budget meant to support startups will also lead to more funding becoming available to them, be it early or late stage startups? It's been tougher for late stage ones these days.
Certainly. So if you see the initiatives directly are talking about investments in new technologies, research and innovation. And as investments happen in these areas, it certainly enables every rupee of government investment is always backed by 2 or 3 rupees of private investment, which will enable both global investors and domestic investors to put in more capital into Indian startup ecosystem. Late stage also will benefit from new technologies developed by the early stage, and the research and innovation investment will enable them also, because development of technology is the ongoing process for any stage, right? So this will give a boost to market, to new technologies. So investment will certainly give boost, but this is something which will take time, right? It's not going to happen overnight, but as we look at clarity on these things as they come into the main budget, we also feel that this will enable a larger announcement of a deep tech technology fund, in conjunction with the fund for the deep tech investments in defense. So these are my views.
All right. Now, Anshul, do you feel the budget also has provisions which will further encourage indigenization or of drone tech as well as their components, for which we still rely on to a large extent upon imports and the stuff coming in from even China?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a two-part problem essentially, which the government is trying to solve. First part is really that using these PLI scheme, which is giving incentivization to more indigenized or drone components. That is really hitting the nail on the head in concern with the PLI scheme. And second part which the government is really doing is boosting up demand from the government sector itself for the utilization of drone services, which is spread across. In healthcare, for example, more than 25 AIIMS are starting to use drones for piloting out drone deliveries to service out diagnostics and other healthcare products. Right, so on and so forth, and we'll see much more examples coming out with the new Drone Didi initiative that the government has rolled out, and many other such schemes. Right, so on both sides, which is having a financial incentive for more indigenization to occur, and at the same time having a boost up in demand from the government side. I think both of those two are helping the sector to become more and more indigenized and get a stand up on its own.
All right. Now, JV, do you think there would be sufficient funding available now as a result of the corpus announced in the budget for better R&D related to EVs, be it batteries in terms of their safety, duration of charge, longevity, and even the overall affordability of EVs?
Yeah, certainly, Gautam. But the point is actually the kind of support the government is going to release it to be studied. Having said that, any kind of support will eventually free up some kind of capital which can be redeployed for improving the innovation and technology, particularly in the area of battery manufacturing and let's say battery efficiency improvement in terms of longevity, safety, and all aspects of EV safety. So that way, it will certainly improve. Battery being the largest cost contributor for the EV, it will definitely help in reducing the end customer cost also, and overall improving the demand in the time to come. So therefore, this will definitely help the industry to sustain in the long-term future.
What kind of a mechanism do you think should be in place where, how this fund is used, this 1 lakh crore rupees, over $120 billion fund? It will, of course, come over a course of several years. It won't come like in one go. But still, what kind of a mechanism do you think would ensure that it is utilized to, the optimum?
Yeah, this is, this definitely it is going to help the industries to take the right kind of investments from time to time. So we are quite confident that this will help overall as an industry to strengthen the entire EV adoption and EV penetration in the time to come.
All right. Now, Manoj, the full budget will be coming in July after the elections. What do you think would be or should be the concomitants to the announcement made on the 1st of February where the full budget is concerned?
So like I said, Gautam, that the many initiatives announced here are very directional in nature, and a lot of clarity has to come in. So we expect the full budget to provide that clarity in terms of these initiatives and with larger details. And then we also expect that there will be probably more initiatives. If you see in the budget, the word, despite so many initiatives, the word startup was probably used 4 times, right? So, because it was a short speech and interim budget, we expect that the full budget will add much more focus on the startup ecosystem, on the deep tech ecosystem, which will be much wider. We also expect probably an announcement of a very larger fund along with the financing for R&D for investments in deep tech startups. See, if you remember, in 2016, Finance Minister announced this 10,000 crore fund of fund initiative for investment startups, yes, which were wider, and it is almost fully utilized or at least committed, which has enabled probably investments of 8 to 10 times in startups over the years. Imagine if this were to be 1 lakh crore over the next 8-10 years. So the investments can be 8 to 10 times of that. So the impact will be multifold. So initiatives like this, we expect that they could be announced because, this government, if it comes back, will be third time with larger focus. And if we have been following the narrative and also the announcements, there's certainly a lot more focus around innovation, deeper technology, around material sciences, around aerospace, space, and various AI. So we expect a lot more to be coming over the final budget and maybe during the year.
Yes, certainly. Manoj made a good point there, Anshul, about the fund of fund, because it was sector agnostic. Right now, of course, the government seems to be taking the focus a bit sectorally within startups as well to deep tech, and then within that defense as well. Do you feel that this is something, the ambit of which could be wider as well, even beyond deep tech in the coming days?
Yeah, certainly. I think the scope can perhaps increase to a much more larger extent. But the exciting thing about this emphasis or the vision, which is getting stated as the Viksit Bharat by 2047, for Viksit, and the definition of the Viksit Bharat, I think, as days come, as we get more details, essentially we'll be able to have a much clearer idea. But it looks like that Viksit Bharat is a Bharat in which there's a lot more emphasis towards sunrise deep tech and a lot more emphasis towards essential industries as well, right? So I think for India to get towards the true mark of being a Viksit Bharat, it's the right sort of commentary that has been coming in terms of the interim budget so far.
Because even within deep tech, JV, what we're seeing a lot being talked about, and of course seeing a lot of possibilities in it, is AI, generative AI, and other forms of AI as well, and its applied technologies. The budget didn't talk about it that much, but do you feel that that is something that may be amended or maybe added to in the full budget?
I think I mean, if you take any EV, today's EVs, I think it's inbuilt. The AI and all these technologies are part of the EV ecosystem today, unlike the IC world. So therefore, I think when it is encompassing EV, I think it covers the entire AI and all the related technologies as well. So therefore, I think focus on EV and specifically to improve the customer-oriented features will certainly improve the performance and therefore the demand in the time to come for the long-term sustainable demand for the future.
All right. Well, I will have to leave it there. Thanks a lot for joining us to talk about the budget, the interim budget. As they say, the picture will be baki hai, because the full budget will be there in July, and perhaps there will be more to look forward to for the entire startup ecosystem come July as well. Thanks a lot for joining us and talking about it today, all three of you.
Thank you.
And that's all we have for the moment in this edition of India Ideas. For all the latest, keep watching DD India.